Hey, this is Chris. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to Popcorn Finance, the show where we discuss finance and about the time it takes to make a bag of popcorn. It's February, and it's hard not to think about relationships during this time of year, whether you're in one or not. And as great as it is to find that right person, that right someone, the process of finding that person seems to be getting more and more expensive. So I thought, why not have one of my favorite past guests back on the show, Kristin Myers, the editor-in-chief of thebalance.com, to talk about this. So Kristin, how are you doing?
Hey, Chris. Thanks so much for having me.
You know, this is the season of relationships, hopefully going in a good direction, not in the bad direction for those right now, because that can be difficult. But you wrote this piece for The Balance. It's titled, Millennials Spend on Average $69 on First Dates. For this piece, one of the things I pulled out of there that you included was that this survey, it went to 1,000, or you surveyed 1,000 Americans who were aged 18 to 40 who are currently either dating or looking for a partner. So what did you find in the process of talking to all these people?
Yeah, absolutely. So we essentially interviewed, based on that age range, mainly millennials, and I guess even some of the elder millennials. I don't actually know where the elder millennial cutoff is, but also a lot of those Gen Zers. And we were a little bit surprised with some of the results that we found. As you mentioned, they are spending on average, at least when it comes to millennials, about $69 for that first date, which, I mean, I had a little bit of bias being a New Yorker. Just one drink will set you back $20. So I thought that was, pretty low. But of course, this is covering all walks of life and all around the United States. But what I think I was most surprised by was how many folks are actually going Dutch or actually splitting the cost of the date. Most millennials and Gen Zers, actually believe in splitting the cost of the date. And interestingly enough, it doesn't matter if you are a man or a woman in that assessment. They both equally agree that both parties should be ponying up some cash, at least when it comes to going out on a date, which I think goes a little bit against some of that, normal or older conventional dating advice that we've previously heard.
Yeah, I'm surprised to hear that, because in my mind, I always thought, if you're the guy and you show up and you don't at least make a very strong effort to say, I'm going to pay for all of this, it's not going to look too great for your prospects for a second date. But is this like the younger generation, like the Gen Zers? Are they pushing this influence up to the millennials and it's kind of shifting things? Or is it more just that's how they want to answer the survey?
That's a really good question, because they unfortunately, couldn't tell us why they believe in splitting the date. But I will say this to that point about, what you said, that if you don't pay, on that date or that your chances of a second date are slim, that is actually still true. Our respondents still said, hey, if the other person pays for the date, and also how much they pay for the date. So if they pay more, perhaps are a big spender, their chances of getting a second date are going up. So that could mean a couple of things. That could mean that perhaps some folks would like the other person to pay for them on the date, but they don't feel like they can expect that or that they are entitled to that. I think there's also the belief, at least when it comes to dating, especially now, we found that 75% essentially are using dating apps. So your Bumbles, your Tinders, your Hinges, and they're spending money on these dating apps. They're spending $15 on average every single month, to swipe left, right, up and down, to find a person. So they're going out on dates a lot more. And so they're spending $250 on average every single month to go out on a date. And that's not an insignificant amount of money. It's a couple $1,000s every single year. So I think, they're saying, hey, this is a pretty expensive endeavor. I'm going to need the other person to participate financially as well in the commitment that I'm making to find love.
I have a very important question for you. Did you get your W-2 yet? I just got mine in the mail, and let me just say, just the sight of it caused so much stress, because now that means I have to do my taxes. And, it's kind of one of those things where it's out of sight, out of mind. And when I don't see it, that means taxes don't exist. But now that it's here, I got to get to work on this. But if you're just like me and you feel this same stress and anxiety that I do when it comes to tax season, just know you have other options. You don't have to suffer and stress through this tax season again, and that's because H&R Block is not only bringing you today's bag of popcorn, but they're also bringing you the help that you need this tax season. H&R Block has experienced tax professionals that have been working for an average of 10 years in this field, and so they can help you get through this very complex tax season without losing it completely. Plus, H&R Block guarantees that you'll get your maximum refund and 100% accuracy on your return. So to learn more, get the help you need, and relieve some of that stress, click the link in the show notes or go to popcornfinance.com/HRBlock for 20% off your online filing. Again, go to popcornfinance.com/HRBlock or click the link in the show notes for 20% off your online filing. How does all of this information, the splitting of dates, the fact that it's getting more expensive to date and go out for these dinners, what's happening with Valentine's Day this year? What do we think is going to happen? What are we seeing the cost for this very expensive time of the year?
Yeah. So even though, Chris, they're spending on average $69, at least on that first date, they are willing to spend a little bit more when it comes to the holiday of love. 58% say they're going to spend up to $100, but about another 50% are actually willing to spend $100 and even over $250, at least on Valentine's Day. And I have to tell you, Chris, we decided to look at the cost of some popular Valentine's Day items, and they're definitely going to need the cash because thanks to inflation, making everything more expensive, it's also making love more expensive. So when it comes to Valentine's Day, if you think that you're going to go out and buy your loved one a beautiful diamond necklace or earrings, expect to pay more, 15% more, at least when it comes to those diamonds.
Ooh. What other price changes have you seen for some of those like popular Valentine's Day things people like to spend their money on?
Okay, so here's what's crazy. We started asking ourselves, hey, if we want to save money on Valentine's Day, what would we do? Right. And so I think some people think, oh, I'll be thoughtful and I will maybe cook a romantic meal, for Valentine's Day. Instead of, going out to a restaurant, I'll, get a lobster tail and maybe some filet mignon or something like that to make for the dinner. And filet mignon is 154% more expensive this year than it was last year. I know. I mean, ouch. So you might honestly be better off just going to the restaurant and having someone else cook you that dinner, because you're definitely not going to save at the grocery store if you're going to try to save a little bit of money. Lobster also up 27%.
This might be the year to have a vegan Valentine's Day. Just saying. I mean, based off these percentages, my wife's already vegan. So maybe I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going vegan on Valentine's Day too, because I'm not looking forward to 154% more my money going towards steak this year. So I think it gives people something to think about, some considerations, how you want to spend your money, where you want to spend it this Valentine's Day. Kristin, thank you so much for breaking down what's going on, what people can expect in this crazy dating world, and also for one of the more expensive days of the year. If people want to learn more about what's going on or maybe check out the article itself, what's the best place for them to go?
Well, they can go to thebalance.com, where, of course, we have that study so they can see how other people are spending their money, at least to find love. Maybe you out there are spending more or spending less. And of course, we're also on Twitter and Instagram, also at The Balance.
Oh, well, thanks so much for joining me. I'll put all that in the show notes. And if you haven't been to The Balance, go check it out. It's a really great place for interesting articles like this, but also a lot of great definitions and a good place to kind of sharpen your financial literacy if you got some questions on some terms that you've heard out there that you don't understand. So I'll put a link in the show notes. Go check all that out. And thanks again, Kristin, for joining me.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And a big thank you to all of you for coming back and joining me here for another episode. As always, if you want to reach out and connect, you can find me over on Instagram. Just search for Popcorn Finance Podcast and you can find me there, or send me an email to questions@popcornfinance.com. And lastly, before we get out of here, I wanted to give a shout out to this week's Kernel. It's going out to Bianca, who found me thanks to my This Is Awkward co-host, Allison, who had been posting on Instagram about her whole computer desk just completely falling apart and blaming me for some reason because I guess I'm her tech support. But anyways, Bianca, thank you for coming over and finding me after I was hating on Allison for her inability to understand technology. With that, as always, I appreciate you all coming and joining me here for another bag of popcorn. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon.
Your boy keep it poppin' like Mary Poppins.